Hey everyone, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. I got a great guest for you. His name is Mr. John Long. He has a company called Thynk, Thynk.ai. And we're going to talk about AI in the way you should be using it or maybe shouldn't be using it. In other words, how to use AI the right way. John has this ability to break down AI into this practical way that's very absorbable, and you can start using things right away. I learned a tremendous amount from this particular episode in the conversation with John. Super nice guy. We had a long conversation before and afterwards. He's the very ethical, real deal guy. That was my take on him. So we'll go talk to John in just a moment. Those of you who are looking to increase your revenues predictably, no matter where you are in that cycle, if you want to have that conversation, reach out to me at doug@ceosalesstrategies.com. Let's go talk to John right now. Get your pen and paper out. Take notes. You're going to learn a lot on this one. Here we go. Hey, John, welcome to the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Doug. Great to join you. Great to be here with you and your listeners.
And you're calling in from Lehi, Utah, if I remember correctly, right?
That is correct, just south of Salt Lake City.
It's a beautiful place out there. Folks, if you've never gone out to Salt Lake or the surrounding area, in Utah in general, it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state.
Do out here.
So you're an AI expert, and I was so excited to have you on here because, well, let's face it, AI's here. and a lot of people, they're still trying to demystify what it's supposed to do for them. They're afraid of it. They don't know it's going to eat their business, eat their job, all that stuff. So let's talk about, if you don't mind, how to use AI the right way, really what we should be using it for, what we shouldn't be using it for in the context of growing sales in particular.
Yeah, that sounds like a great place to dive in. And I think it's important to maybe set a couple of levels of understanding with AI, if that's okay, Doug. So
please.
We use the term AI very, very loosely, and we assume that anything that is smart technology is AI now, right? And everyone's trying to put the AI sticker on. It's like the old Intel days where it's like Intel inside, AI inside, right? Oh yeah, we're an AI company now. And so we get that a lot, but AI is really gigantic. It's gigantic, right? And so there's a lot of different types of AI. There's machine learning, there's computer vision, there's generative AI, there's agentic AI. There's a lot of different types of AI. Most people, when they think of AI, they're thinking about like the Chat GPT type programs, right?
Right.
Gemini, Grok, Claude, and that is AI, and it's great. That's what we would call a generative AI, where we give it something, it gives us something back. It generates some sort of a response. And we use that just like you and probably many, many others out there. In terms of how you use generative AI, I like to tell people it's like a rough draft partner, okay? Generative AI generally does not produce final drafts. And so we use an 80 or a 10-80-10 principle, where we say the first 10% needs to be done by the human, right? We still have to start that process. It's like playing a game of tennis and the serve is ours, right? We've got to hit the ball over to AI.
All right.
And AI is able to then generate a big portion of it. The AI can do maybe 80% of the project that we're working on. It sends it back to us, and then the human still has to do that final 10%, the finishing on those projects. And so when we're talking about AI in relationship to generative AI, that 10-80-10 principle is a fantastic way to approach things. I'm going to start it. I'm going to let AI do a whole bunch of the work, and then I'm going to finish it. And there may be a number of back and forths between us and the AI where we're asking for iterations and updates and changes and things like that. But at the end of the day, some sort of AI finished product comes to us in a rough draft form. We still then put the finishing polish on it and send it on its way. So that's generative AI. What we do at our company, Thynk.ai, is we build AI agents. And so we're using Agentic AI. And the biggest difference there is Agentic AI is an AI system that has decision-making capabilities built within it. Whereas generative AI is more of just, I'm gonna send something back to you. I'm gonna return your serve, right? And so I like to tell people agentic AI is more like a quarterback in a football game. The quarterback might pass the ball, might hand the ball off, might run it himself. There's a number of different things that quarterback can do, but it's going to make decisions, all geared towards achieving some end result, all geared towards getting that first down or scoring that touchdown. But it's gonna make decisions on your behalf, and it's gonna move the ball forward in some way. And then our job as AI creators, agent creators, is to make sure we've got the right guardrails in place to make sure that the playbook that it's using is in line with the business that it's working for.
So can I look at AI, agentic AI as, uh, I'm the coach of the team, and I'm calling the plays, and I'm giving it to the quarterback, and the quarterback has 3 or 4 different types of, like, they step back, they were going to throw the pass, but a rush comes in on a football team, and they're like, oh no, I'm going to get
Yeah,
sacked.
change of plans, right?
Change of plans immediately. So the agentic AI is able to think and go, wait a minute, there's a pocket open here, I'm going to run this way. Then somebody's running in from the defensive thing, and it's like, oh, that hole gets plugged. I've got an open person I can pass to. I throw the ball. Hey, we get a play. It's a very basic definition of how agentic AI might be thinking.
That's it. Yeah, that's a great extension of the analogy, though. Yeah, you're on the sidelines as the coach, kind of telling it what you're wanting it to do. You know what the desired outcome is. We're trying to get a first down. We're trying to get a touchdown, whatever. And you're sending plays in, but you're kind of allowing the AI to have some freedom of control in terms of how it achieves those desired outcomes.
And when you're saying the guardrails, so we're probably setting up rules then, saying, hey, you know what, you got to run down the field or back the field, but you can't run to the side of the field and run out into the parking lot with the football
Yep.
because you're out of bounds. So you're setting up guidelines and rules for the agentic AI. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly right. Yep. So we give it those guidelines, and those can be as tight or as loose as you really want them to be. We literally can lock an agent down where it can only do something, and it's literally like word for word. I am going to say this in this way every single time. Or we can loosen it up a little bit and say, look, you got to ask these 5 questions. Ask them in whatever order makes the most sense based on the conversation. You don't have to use word for word, but you understand the general meaning or the general idea of the question, and feel free to ask it in the way that seems best, right? And so we can kind of adjust that based off of the specific needs for that particular AI agent.
Okay, I'm going to come back to this because I think this is super important, because people a lot of times they're like, "Well, what if Tom Brady, the quarterback in the football?" And by the way, folks, those of you who are in Europe and other parts of the world, we're talking about American football right now, not European football. So you're no one's. There is a soccer tackle, as we call it here in the United States, but this is where you literally knock down the person and everybody jumps on top of them,
Yep.
and that game. So, generative AI, I want to step back. So that's like, I want to write an article, or I want to write a book, or I want to create maybe some graphic or something like that. And I do my 10% saying, hey, I'd like a duck sitting on a pumpkin, whatever, and in a spring day, et cetera, et cetera. And 80% it goes and creates the duck on the pumpkin in the spring day. And I look at it and I go, well, geez, maybe a spring day wasn't really the right day. It's too muddy, too wet. I'd like to have snow coming down behind it, and I've got to do my part, tell the AI what to change. And then finally, like, I get the kind of the polish off type piece if I need to do it. Like, let's say I was writing a book, for example, and I say, hey, write an outline, and writes the outline, and write this, all the pieces. I look at it and I go, yeah, that's not exactly what I want. I got to take that 10%, maybe change it or something like that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, you're going to step in like that editor at the end of the process, right? Where you've got
Oh, great.
maybe
All
the
right.
book completely written, but now you're going to go and you're going to do a little bit of editing. You're going to make sure that there's, cohesion throughout the piece that you've created, and that it flows properly. And you're gonna do a little bit of changing to it, but you're gonna make it, better. You're gonna put that human polish on at the end.
Okay. So I literally can have like a brain trust of people. If I have an idea, and I know I can do this, John, because I've done this, like, act like this person's Abe Lincoln, act like this person's this person, and so on and so on, right? And now we're going to have a discussion about what's going on in 1850. For the same problem we're having today, let's have a different discussion. And all of these people will literally, the personalities of the people will have this discussion, but I got to take the final narrative, edit it, and say, hey, back in 1850, this is how they were thinking, and today this is how we're thinking. My critique on this is X, right?
Yeah.
That's generative AI.
Yeah, 100% accurate there.
Okay.
And it's fun to hear you talk about with the example you use. It reminds me of the book Think and Grow Rich, if you're familiar with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
concept of a mastermind, right?
Yeah.
And the author of that book, Napoleon Hill, talks about how he, in his mind, created a mastermind with the greatest thinkers of all time that he
That's
could
what he did. Yes.
imagine, right? And he would literally have meetings in his mind with these people. Well, now we don't have to do that in our minds. We're able to use, AI to represent those people. And literally, you could create your own mastermind think tank to help you analyze your business, decisions that you're making, investments that you're making, et cetera, and get, the best advice that you possibly can from these great minds that exist out there.
Yeah, I think actually in his group he had Abraham Lincoln. I think that's where I actually pulled it because I have the book right behind me here on a bookshelf. So the okay, so wait a minute. AI does all this cool stuff for me, saves me all this thinking times, it saves me time, energy, all kinds of things. Now I got these agentic agents that are doing workflows and stuff for me. Why are so many people like afraid of AI then?
So that's a great question. And I've got a couple of responses, one that's probably a little bit more acceptable and one that might cut a little bit, but I'll share them both. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, sure, sure.
So I think first of all, it's new, right? And we tend to back away from things that are new, particularly things that are new and moving really fast, right? Um, you know, we look back, 25 years ago during the dot-com boom, and there was this rush to get a website, but it was moving fast, and people were like, I
Right.
don't know, do I have a website? Do I want to put my information out there? And right, there were all these questions about it, and people had uncertainty back then too, because the internet was new. And so uncertainty around new technology, particularly technology that we don't completely understand how
Mm-hmm.
it works, is very, very normal, right? So that's part of it. The other part, and this may not be at the forefront of people's minds, but it certainly comes up as we start working with them. We expose some weaknesses in businesses. AI, as smart as it is, doesn't solve for bad strategy, right? If your business isn't as organized or as structured as it could be or should be, and we bring AI in to help systematize and bring some structure, some automation to your business, and we start looking under the hood and we realize, oh, there is no process, there is no structure, they're winging it, right? That also is a little bit difficult. And so AI can certainly help in all of those scenarios. If you don't have good structure, AI can help create better structure and help to process and systematize the business. But it does require you to put some thought into your business. And so many business leaders, so many business owners are working in their business, and they're
Yes.
working really, really hard in their business. And there's nothing wrong with that, except they haven't paused long enough to kind of take that step back and say, okay, I'm going to work on my business. And I'm going to really figure out, how do we make A plus B equals C? Because C's are what we're delivering to our customers. But sometimes it's an A and sometimes it's a B, but most of the time it's like a G and an F, or an X and a Y, and we need to put some structure around that business to really consistently produce the types of results that they need. And that's where AI really is able to help you magnify your outputs, is by helping to create smooth systems. I used to talk to people a lot about taking messy inputs, right? If A plus B is supposed to equal C for your business, whatever, and that's it's representing a process, right? The reality is in most businesses, we get A's and we get B's, but sometimes we get F's and sometimes we get G's and sometimes we get, you
Mm.
know, sevens, right?
Right.
And so the fix to that for most businesses has been we'll throw people in there, right? Have people catch these inputs, look at it and go, well, that's a seven, but I think it's supposed to be an A. I'm going to stick it
Mhm.
in the process.
Mhm.
And then that process moves on and it doesn't always flow the same way because the inputs aren't always exactly right. But people have allowed us to take messy inputs, messy processes, and still produce outputs. Well, AI is very literal, right? It's very literal. And if it says I'm supposed to receive an A and it gets you know, a lowercase a instead of an uppercase A, it's like, we're in trouble. And so it requires us to really understand our business better, think about our business, and then be able to move forward. But the beauty is that AI can accept those messy inputs. It can understand them with proper training, and it can allow us to systematize processes that typically have required humans to run.
So that makes a lot of sense to me why some people would be like, oh no, because I mean, when we go in and we do essentially a sales optimization study, i.e. an audit on the sales side of the business.
Station study sounds better in our marketing.
Exactly. Nice marketing term, I think. But the reality is, we uncover a lot of broken systems. We uncover a lot of things that are like glaring, like, why aren't you doing this? Right. Um, and it is because people are working in the business, as you're saying, John, and they're not working on the business because let's face it, running a business, we all know, it's not that easy. It's not that hard, but it's not that easy when one doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Right. So everything we can create a system and a process. If the system and the process actually is weak, what I'm hearing is AI is going to come in and say, Doug, you don't have hair. Like, no matter what you think, you don't have hair. And so it's going to come in and say, this system's weak, and it's going to start exposing things. Which to my sales optimization ears is like, perfect. That's exactly what we need. But human beings tend not to like that type of rejection.
Well, and what happens is this, Doug, and I'm jumping in the middle of your thought, so I don't want to interrupt you too much, but what happens is we tend to try and find the simplest, the quickest band-aid, right? Well, let's just try
Yes.
and solve the problem quick. We look for the quickest, the cheapest fix to these problems. And so what we've seen, and there's a lot of companies out there offering AI services right now. And some of them are very inexpensive. We've looked into all of these, and you tend to get what you pay for, right? You get this very rote system that as long as your process exactly matches the process that this little AI system was built for, then it's going to work great.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is that there's one business out there that it works exactly for, and everybody else it's not quite right. And so you're trying to pound a square peg into a round hole, right?
Yes.
And that's where our approach has been a little bit more customized to the business. And so we come in as an AI expert, as an AI expert company, and we say, okay, help us understand how you're doing things. And invariably, we expose broken systems, and that's okay because businesses run on broken systems all day, every
Oh, yeah.
day
Yeah.
as it is. And so it may not necessarily be that the system's broken. It's just not quite what you thought it was. We can say, okay, well, we can either fix the system and we can put the AI here, or we can train the AI to work in the system the way it's working for you right now. And that's the beauty of having a custom AI agent is that it literally will mold itself to your business and work the way you want it to work. The same as if you were hiring a new employee and training them and saying, well, this is the way we do things here.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I've never looked at any company, including our own, where something's not a little messed up.
And
It's,
it's because we all deal with those messy inputs coming at us every
yeah.
day.
Yeah. But we still run functionally, we still run profitably, et cetera. It's I'm hearing very similar theme to what we do because we'll come in and optimize those things. Some of the things are broken. some of the things are working just fine, but they could be a little better.
Yep.
Right. And some of them are really doing great, but we can make them just a little bit better. And the difference between the efficiency and the effectiveness of that little bit better is profit usually, right? So certainly higher revenues and predictable. So I what I'm hearing loud and clear here, and I'm hoping everybody gets this, that AI isn't this thing to be feared. It's something that can be harnessed. We just have to direct it, and maybe if we don't understand it, work with a guy like you who understands it. And, it kind of reminds me a little bit of every technology we've ever embraced. I mean, I remember, they thought the automobile would never replace the horse. The television was going to fail, right? That it was not going to ever replace radio. The automatic teller machine, people thought it was going to eat their money, right? In the beginning, right?
Yep.
And people don't even think about it. I mean, think about the absurdity today. We were worried about putting cash in a machine back then. Today, we take a card and we tap it. We don't even know where the money goes, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it's all virtual, right?
so if we embrace these technology, and by the way, the tap thing, Europe was way ahead of us in the United States.
Interesting.
Because my wife was born in Poland, so I used to fly from here to Poland. And I remember I went over there with non-tap cards because we didn't have them here. And people were like, tap the card. And I'm like, it doesn't work, right? I can keep whacking the terminal with the card, but trust me, it's not working, right? And these were big banks like Chase and American Express and all these. And they were like getting upset with me because my card would not tap because they have moved way beyond the stripe or put it into the whatever the card reader into the slot.
Well, and Doug, that's a perfect story to share in relationship to kind of where things are going to be very soon with AI. I have people ask me all the time, John, what's going to happen in the next 12 to 24 months? And the reality is nobody knows for sure. This thing's moving so fast. There are things that we thought were going to take 5 years that are done in a year, right? But I do know this. AI is not going away. This is not a fad that's going to be like, oh, remember 2025, the year of AI? That was such a fad. No, it's here, right? It's not going to go away. Number one. Number two, it will become so ingrained in what we do every day as individuals and as businesses that we will not know how to operate without it in the very near future. I think about when the internet goes off at my house and my kids are like, we have nothing to do now. Like, have you ever heard of playing outside? No internet required. It's an offline game, right? Um,
That's
but
funny.
it will become so ingrained in what we do that when AI does turn off, we're going to feel the same way. Like we don't know how to function anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to be that ingrained, and it's already happening by force. Okay. It's not even by choice. Like this is not something that people are gonna be like, well, we're gonna choose to be an AI free family or an AI free business, right? Because it's just getting pushed into our lives. If anybody's used email recently, you see it, right?
It's
You
all
have a
over there.
smartphone, it's there.
Yeah, yeah. You
It's
no longer can write your own. You're now almost incapable of not of writing
yeah.
your own
You're
email
like,
without
no, I
touching.
don't want you to write this. Like delete, 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 delete.
Exactly. Well, I want to give some practical examples of that as well, because I've experienced them just recently. I walked by, I don't know if I was in Lowe's or Best Buy or where, but I walked by a refrigerator. And it's like AI refrigerator. And I'm like, all right, this is kind of cool. Like maybe it's going to keep track of our food or whatever, right? And tell us, hey, you're out of blueberries or whatever, But
Yeah, order some
um,
more for you.
but at the same time, that was like feels a little intrusive. Like it's like like they're gonna know how many blueberries I'm eating a day or whatever, right? And so, but there were two examples that I just ran into on a uh, business to consumer, business to business, still the case. One of them was Sirius XM radio.
Mhm.
And I had it in my vehicle. My lease was coming up. I was getting rid of the vehicle, so I was going to get rid of this. And I call in, and they've got this Agentic AI front end,
Mhm.
sounded just like a human being.
Yep. Hard to
And
tell the difference.
I know enough about this to know there was a slight difference, but if I didn't know what you would know potentially, John, maybe not as deep as what you know it, I wouldn't have been able to make it out. So, but I'm like, okay, it's an AI thing. Let's see how it works. And I was completely blown away by the ability for this thing to communicate with me in real time on, and I was throwing at complex things. I was like trying to fool it. And it came back. And the fun thing is it tried to not allow me to cancel in very unique ways 5 times.
Wow.
And I was like, since I do what I do for a living, I was like, this is pretty cool, right? It's because,
It's
and
turned
then
into a test of their system as opposed to you just trying to get an answer, right?
exactly. And I was trying to see, how it was positioning and doing all these things. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to test this. I'm going to act like an angry customer. And I'm like, I want a live human being, right? And immediately it said, hold on, sir, I'll get you someone else who's live. And it transferred me within seconds to someone who's live.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
So I'll tell you, and I don't know their system per se, but we can do the same things with ours. And I'll tell you the really cool thing is when we transfer that call to a human, the AI will actually tell the human, hey, I've got Doug on the phone wanting to cancel. He's turning his leased vehicle in, and he's a little bit upset about this and this. Just so you know, here's the setting. And then it transfers the call to that human. So they know exactly what's going on when they jump on the
So
phone.
so it frames everything for the individual who's getting the handoff. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome because imagine it was not yours, John, but my ex-wife, and she's still upset with me, and she's coming in, and I don't know, right? Like, wham, you're gonna get hit with the emotion, right? And so if you have a upset customer and we don't know that, customer comes immediately. Human beings are wired, so it's like, well, we want to help, but we want to defend ourselves. So now we're going to get into a metaphorical arm lock conversation. Unlikely that should happen, but a lot of times it does. That's awesome. I also was in Las Vegas in the Rio Hotel. We stayed there. And they have someone called Rita. And Rita is the most helpful person I think I've ever met in my life that's not a real person. And, and Rita, I called Rita, I called up, hi, this is Rita, in your AI assistant, right? And Rita, geez, I need some towels for my room. How many would you like? What size towels would you like? What else can I do for you? All these things.
Yep.
And while I was there, because I was at a conference for 3 days, and while I was there, I only talked to one human being because Rita done an amazing job, and and I just had a question on my invoice and tried to do it, but was like, let me get someone who can help you live, right? And boom.
Yeah.
So I wanted to illustrate those things because of what you said, John, which is it's here, it's not going away, it's going to only get more ingrained in our lives. So if we are now business people, which we are, all of us who are listening to this and engaging here, we should be able to use AI to actually help us grow our revenues, make our companies more effective, more efficient. And we just kind of touched on like Rita does this, or Sirius does this, but you said the key words like, hey, we can do this. Like, this is what we do. How can a company use AI on the front end of the communication loop, if you will?
Yeah.
And how does that help them either boost productivity or potentially boost revenue in the process? I know that's a big question to ask, but
Yeah. That's what we do. So that's a perfect setup for me. And I'll give you some examples from this week. How's
okay.
that?
Now, before you go there, John, I got to tell people this is not a setup process. John and I did not say we were going to talk in depth about this particular process.
No.
So So I put him on the spot. So John, go ahead if you would.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'll give you some examples from this week. So I was visiting with a marketer this week, and they were frustrated. They said, John, we've been tasked with producing leads, right? And we're doing that. We're producing leads. We're spending money to produce leads. We're producing leads. And I look at the numbers, and over 30% of the leads we produce, the sales team doesn't even answer the phone.
Yeah.
They don't even answer the phone to talk
Yeah.
to these people. Um, those that they do talk to, they're not calling them back. And this marketer said, "Can you help me?" This was an agency, marketing agency, that said, "We have customers that we are producing. We're doing exactly what they hired us to do. We're producing leads." And they come back to us a few months later and say, "Hey, we're going to go ahead and terminate our contract.
Sure.
We're just not generating enough business." And he says, "And yet 30 to 40% of what we're producing isn't being, actioned on." And so we're working with them now to bring AI into these types of businesses and say, look, you're obviously busy, which is fantastic. You want to be busy, but let's put your sales reps into sales meetings more often and have them doing less busy work. If they're needing to do follow-up, if they're not answering the phone when a warm lead calls, oh, problem, right? And so we're now able to put AI in those seats and say, okay, we're going to answer every call that comes in. We're going to follow up appropriately with every customer that you've had a conversation with. We're going to make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. We're going to move things along in an automated fashion. Huge differences for businesses. We have a company that a few weeks ago, we turned their agent on live. Their particular agent was reaching out to old dead leads that come in, never took any action, that kind of got swept into the corner, and they were like, well, yeah, someday maybe we'll do something with those, but of course nobody ever does. So that's the lead list that our agent is calling on, right? Day number 1, 4 sales. Week number 1, 30 sales.
Yep.
Automated, right? Didn't take any more time. And so what we tell people is, look, we're going to help to automate significant portions of your business. And a lot of people come to us and say, well, we don't want to get rid of our people. Don't. You need them. You're going to need them further down the process where the people come into play, right? You're going to need them to go and make these sales visits. You're going to need them to help with fulfillment or implementation or whatever the business is. And for the most part, your people have domain expertise on your business, on what you do, on your products. Don't get rid of them by any means. Move them to higher value roles within the company, and let us automate that mundane, repeatable sort of tasks that most people really don't like doing, and that frankly a lot of things are slipping through the cracks on. So that's an example.
I want to I want to back this story up, because when most of the people who listen to this know that, for about 7 years, I was the independent president of training and sales for Tony Robbins. Chet Holmes had these companies, Business Breakthroughs International and others. And when I first took over, because I'm a data guy, I look at data, right? So I want to, how do I optimize? And I found 2 glowing statistics that came out. Well, there were like 6, but 2 major ones. One was I ran the leads over the past 3 years, and 170,000 leads were never followed up on.
Wow. Wow. How much revenue did you anticipate that represented?
Whoa, yeah, the story gets worse. They're $13 a lead.
Ooh, wow.
Right. And
Wow.
and so back then we didn't have AI. So what did we do? I decided, hey, you know what? Any new salesperson who's coming through, they got to go back through these dormant, dead, cold leads and call. And you got to make at least two sales before we even consider you on the team. And believe it or not, they were calling 2-year-old leads, and they were making sales. And so the business is there, and I wanted to validate that. The second thing was that the qualification component that the original sales manager had, that I eventually didn't keep, was skewing the data and saying these leads aren't qualified, so we're not even going to call upon them.
Yeah.
which
And then they don't get counted in our numbers, so our numbers still look.
exactly. So I've got a 22% close rate versus the 12.1% close rate that was actually happening. And so what I we stopped that immediately, right? And so this goes back to what your client on the marketing company was talking about. 30% are not even being contacted. And statistically, 50% of leads are never followed up on anyways. So there, folks, just on follow up alone, and many of you know, John, you may not, we built a automated, proactive, personalized follow up system, right?
Right.
That's what we built, and so you can bump revenue easy enough by 5. Sometimes the highest one was 20%, like just with follow up alone. So it's one of those things that I wanted to back up the story with some other data and stories because it's so critical to do. John, I could talk for all night about this, and I'm sure people are like, Doug, you've already blown our minds. Like, what if what would you leave people with? Like, you said it earlier, like AI's here, it's not going anywhere, it's here to stay, it's incorporated. I mean, I see all these commercials now going on with, and AI is included, in our new whatever. I'm
AI is
surprised.
not.
AI is included in your vitamins, folks. I don't know, like, but I see it coming. And I said this back in 1999, and people told me I was crazy. So when dial-up came in, and then first DSL was coming in right around 99, I said to a bunch of people, I was working at a corporation, I said, this is going to change sales forever. And they said, you're crazy. And I said, no, think about this. People can go up and get information that they're relying upon us as the sales channel for that expertise. That's why they invite us in today. We're doing a complex telecommunication sale. But now they can look things up and they'll know as much about maybe as our engineers will know. So it's going to change our conversations. And, took a little longer, but here we are. Right. And now, post pandemic, a lot of decisions are being made in the boardrooms about who do we want to bring in as a sales channel, not for their expertise per se. We'd like to have that too. But now we've narrowed it down to our top 3 or 4 that we're going to invite in because we know all this information. Now we're going to grill them. And so the whole thing has changed. And I see AI going to change it again in the capacity that if someone is a setter or someone is on the front end and a agentic agent can do the job as effectively, doesn't care about rejection. It's not going to have mood swings. It's not going to have sick days, right? It's only a natural extension that those type of positions are going to start to be challenged by technology, just as driverless cars are, being thought of, right? So what would you say to people who are like, they're owners of companies, whether they're a solo entrepreneur or they own them, a $1 billion corporation listening to this? What would you say to them, like, about AI? We're here in 2025. If you're not here in 2026, now let's not talk about 27, 28, because this is coming faster. How competitive are they going to not be in the marketplace compared to other people who are actually doing this?
Well, let me explain it this way. So AI is advancing in an exponential way, which means if it's doing, 100 miles an hour today, and a year from now it's doing 200 miles an hour, a year from then it's going to be doing 400 miles an hour, and then 8, and then 16, right? And so what that means is that it's speeding up as it is speeding up, right? It's accelerating, which means if you are slow to start, okay, your competitors get started today, you get started a month from now or a year from now.
Right.
You will never catch up to them because they will consistently be getting faster and they will be getting faster than you are getting faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will never be able to catch up with them. Now, there's a lot of other factors, IP and things like that will come into play. But at a very basic model, if you are not getting involved with this technology that is going to allow your business to increase its velocity, and your competitors are, and they are, everybody is right now, then they will pass you by and you will not be able to compete with them. Um, and so, yeah, it's absolutely critical that you're involving AI. Now, you need to use it smartly, right? I've seen a lot of particularly software companies come out and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've got AI now." And you look at the AI that they've built into their systems, and it's just it's trash, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
well, yeah, you put something in that says it's AI just so you can claim that you have AI.
Correct.
You got to be careful that you're not doing it for the sake of doing it, right? You still need good strategy. You still need good processes behind the scenes that are utilizing AI to help your business move. And so it's important that you do it right, but it's important that you do it now or very, very soon
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well.
The I have a friend who owns a software development company. I asked him this question, how's AI going to change coding, or is it going to eliminate code? It's like all these people that are coming in the media hype or whatever. They're like, oh no, software is gone. Developers you're done. Forget it. All of this. And I asked him, and I think he gave me the best answer I've ever heard when it comes to this is, Doug, this is not going to replace coding. It's just going to change how we're doing coding, right? Going back to maybe your 10-80-10 formula or something of that nature.
Yeah, I believe it was Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, ChatGPT. He said, you're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to someone who knows how to use
Use
AI.
AI. Yeah.
And that really is what he's getting at. Someone who has understood AI and is using it. And this is true with businesses, just like it is with employees. If
Yes.
business is using AI, the way we talk about it is it's like putting on the Iron Man suit, right? You send Tony Stark by himself, no Iron Man suit, into battle. Guess what? Tony Stark's going to be dead. He's
Soon.
going to be dead very quickly, right? He's a sharp guy, but unfortunately, he's human, right?
Yeah.
You send Iron Man in, it's a different story,
Yeah.
right? And so using AI to give your employees this Iron Man suit that allows them to do their job, you know, twice as good or three times as good or 10 times as good as they were able to do it before, is the new way of doing business, right? And that's true with your developers. And in some cases, will people lose their jobs? Yes, they will. People are already losing their jobs to AI. It's happening.
Yes.
Um, is AI going to create jobs? Yes, that is also already happening. Many of our customers are excited because they're like, oh, we're going to be able to cut payroll by using this. And we help them get it ramped up. And they realize, oh, we need to increase payroll because you're helping us produce more
More
business.
business.
But it's
Yep.
shifting people from doing busy work to doing work that is profitable, where they can actually make money. And it's the revenue generating work that we're seeing the shift towards. And that's what businesses want and need. Shift as many resources as you possibly can towards revenue
Yeah.
generation. And if there's costs, admin, if we can reduce that using AI and if we can speed up timelines, even better.
Yeah. And I think people look, here's the thing, folks. Will jobs change? Yes. Right. There was somebody who said to their son or daughter, learn how to repair this steam engine and you'll have security for life. Right. And there was, and that's not true. Technology changed. We went to something else. Some of us now, we can't even relate to what's a steam engine, like that, is that, but I'd say in recent times, streaming has done a number on movie theaters, and it's a different technology. That's all, really. And so there were people who capitalized on that streaming, and new jobs were created in new markets, and shifts happened from the old markets to the new. It's going to happen. I think it's just like you said, John, like, we could, when you use the 100 to 200 to 400 miles an hour and so on, there was a time where we had a ship that went back and forth to Europe. Then an airplane came along and it was a prop engine. And that was like, oh my gosh, Amelia Earhart or whoever, I can't remember the gentleman's name who flew, from here to England or whatever it was, or France. But then twin props came along and you could go a little faster. And then jet engines came along around in the 40s or whatever and started going a little faster. And now today we can fly from Boston to London in under 6 hours. On that steamship, it took us 6, 7, 8 weeks, whatever, weeks, anyways, a few weeks. And, then the Concorde comes along and and man, we could do it in under 3 hours, right? Eventually something will come along where you'll be, I don't know, maybe not teleported, but certainly can get there in an hour and a half or something like that. Yeah. And that's just the natural evolution of things, folks. That's just the way it goes. So you're either going to take John's advice and embrace the process, make it work for you, or you'll be driving a jet propulsion engine when people are flying the Concorde, and that's what's going to happen. So analogous to your business and your business growth. John, your company is Thynk, Thynk, which I thought was super cool, .ai. So Thynk.ai. How do people get a hold of you, get a hold of your company if they want to know more or, work with you or converse with you?
Yeah, so certainly I'm active on LinkedIn. You're welcome to hit me on LinkedIn. Happy to connect there, but you're also welcome to visit our website, Thynk.ai, Thynk. I will mention this real quick, Doug, because it goes along so well with your comment. We actually, the reason we named our business Thynk is because as technologists were diving into AI, we recognized that we began to think differently as we started using AI more and more. We approached business differently. We approached problems, questions differently. And so we recognized that AI changed our way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually where we came up with our name Thynk. That's why it's a Y. And so we just realized that, hey, this is going to change the way people think. And so we tell people think differently, think AI.
Awesome. John, thanks so much for being here on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. Thanks for bringing your AAA plus game. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure other people do as well.
Thank you. Hope everybody has a great day and good luck in the future.
Wow. I bet you learned a lot on this one. I know I did. And what I loved is how John was able to break these things down in a very, very, I would say, simple way, right? You have your different types of AI, right? I love the 10-80-10 rule on using, AI in a generative type of process. Generative being, hey, you know what? You can write articles, you can write books, you can create content, you can create different things with AI. You're going to give it a little bit of input, 10%. It does the 80% lift for you, and then you're going to do the 10% polishing, right? You can do this in all kinds of different ways. If you've not used AI before, or you sort of used it, one thing I will tell you about that John and I didn't talk about was the prompting. The more detailed you can give the prompting, in other words, the instructions to the AI, the more detail you can do that, the more it can learn exactly what you're looking to do. So you can give it some detailed prompting, and then it will come back and you can give it more detailed prompting and it'll do more of what you're looking to do. And if it's off target, you can say, no, this is off target. I want to do it this way. And it will always keep trying to correct again and again to give you what you're looking for. All right. Now, when you use an agentic AI, which is those workflows he was talking about, if you don't know what all that means, don't worry about it. There are people out there like John who can explain this to you very quickly. If you're looking on and around how to use AI in your business in a deeper way, reach out to John. If you're looking to create predictable revenue and you want to do it in an AI way, right? You can reach out to me. as well. I'm at Doug at ceosalesstrategies.com. Just reach out by email, best way, or you can hit me on LinkedIn at Doug Brown 123. All right. So use AI. It's coming. It's here. It's coming fast. It's going to continue to keep growing at a fast pace. I really want you as a listener to embrace this thought process. If you don't do it now, it's moving at a rapid pace. I don't want you to be, miles or, kilometers behind your competition. So something to embrace. Again, if you're looking at how to use even a setter in the process, or how to create AI to, automate certain processes, John's your guy to reach out to. As I always say, until next time, go out and sell something. Go out and make someone happy. Help them solve a problem. Help them gain a goal. Help them capitalize on an opportunity. Do it in a win-win-win fashion. 3 people win. You win because you get paid. They win because they get that outcome, the perceived value they're looking for. And someone else wins because what you do enhances their daily life, and what their daily life goes on to enhance others. All right? Again, value perception. Give them the value they're looking for, not what you're looking for. You don't have to discount. Discounting is not a fun thing for you. And you can keep your margins and make healthier profits for yourself, because people do pay for perceived value and value creation. So be a value creator. Until next time, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast saying, to your success.